What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? So, finally back in the garage after a long wait. Had a whole bunch of crap come up. Had the electrical panel in the house. Started to go out. While I can do some electrical work, I don't have an electrical license. So, in order to possibly sell a place, you have to show proof that you replaced that electrical panel. Couldn't do it. Had to drop some coin on an electrical panel. Also had some roof leaks come up. Started seeing some stains on the ceilings. A new roof is costly, so hadn't bought no parts lately. Until late. Well, lately. All right, so I spent a little bit of money, but I sold some parts and managed to recoup some of that money. So let me show you what I bought real quick. All right, over here on the fancy parts shelf, finally tracked down some really good cast iron 6.0 manifolds. These are off of an LQ4 from another guy who lives not too far away, but these have no cracks. I went to buy a couple other sets that were cracked. I'm going to chop these up. We're going to make some turbo headers out of them. There's the other one. They're a little ugly. I don't care. I'll clean them up. I got plenty of cleaner and crap. So the plan is I want to get these on the engine over there, and I want to set it in the car. I also want to bolt the transmission up. I want to put the jack underneath it and level it out. I'm going to do this because I'm probably going to cut these collectors off back here in this area. This collector is only 2 inch. I don't like that. I want a 2.5 coming off of the headers, so probably going to cut it back here where it's 2.5 until I get the diameter that I want. We'll put a V-band right there, and then we'll run our hot side exhaust piping off of our V-band. We'll loop it around. The plan is going to be to come out from, right about this area, come down, come over one pipe, and then this side over here, come down and come over into the bottom also. We'll hang our wastegate off in this direction, and our turbo will sit up here. That's the plan. I don't exactly know that's going to go that way. That's what I want to do. So I need the stuff in the car so that I can get my measurements to line up as far as how I'm going to cut it, where I'm going to set everything, movements, the room, all that good mess. So one of them things you got to think about, is it all going to fit when I get it in here? So best way to know it's going to fit, set it in there. So I went to Amazon happy, and I got 4 V-bands. These are squirrely V-bands from Amazon, 2.5 inch. I ordered these, and they didn't come with the flanges. So I have 4 V-bands with no flanges. Never fear. Back to Amazon Prime. And actually gave them a negative rating for not listing it that didn't come with any flanges. So I ordered some more with flanges. Cool as that. These are Vibrant knockoffs. These are by E-Speed. They look pretty cool though. I can tell you that they're heavier than the ones I looked at in Pet Boys. I stopped by Pet Boys a couple days ago just to see, what they felt like. And these actually even have a lip on the flanges here on the inside. You can see that there. One side's female and one side's male. The male is this side, female is that bottom one. And they fit in together very snugly, which is cool. I like that. The other ones I looked at didn't have that flange either. So I think I like these. Now I don't know that these clamps are as good as these squirrely clamps. I'm going to tell you, these squirrely clamps feel tighter if I squeeze them than these. I feel like they're stronger. So I may use these clamps and these flanges. Doesn't matter, they're the same flange on the outside no matter what. So I'm going to take this. We're going to cut that manifold off, and we're going to put our V-band flange in there somewhere. I want to know exactly where. That's why I want to have it all inside the car and bolt it up so I can see how it looks. By the way, they only sent 1. I ordered 4, and they're supposed to be here tomorrow. Maybe. They don't really know, so whatever, man. Stuff got back ordered. 10-gallon fuel cell. I broke down and bought a new one. My thought process behind this was So I'm going to drive this thing to the track. A 5-gallon fuel cell is tough. So some guys are getting like 10 miles at a gallon. Some guys are getting 15 miles a gallon. Some guys are getting 8 miles a gallon. I'm not going to drive around with this thing on keel, but I think 10 gallons is a safer way to go. I can take this in a 5-gallon can and have plenty enough fuel to drive to the track, race it, beat on it, and then fill it up and drive it home. This tank was $89 on Amazon. They have the same one on eBay. It's got 2-10 return fittings on the top with nothing on them. Has 2-10 feeds on the bottom on the sump, which is pretty cool. There we go. Sorry, camera cut off. 2-10 feeds, which is pretty cool. Come with a couple caps. I'm not going to use the caps. We're going to run all Teflon coated braided hose from the back to the front and run it back with some -6 stuff. We'll do -10 feed, -6 return. That we have plenty of fuel. I know -8 will probably work, but -10 is only $12 more, and you're guaranteed for that to work. But I've looked this fuel cell over a good bit. Some negative reviews online. What do you expect, dude? It was only $89. Fits really tight. That's really tight. This isn't the best open-close thingamajigger. I also found out online you can buy a whole new thing up here to go on here and have a much better feeling neck than this, but this will work for the time being. It has some foam. It is not full of foam. Cry to your mom if you don't like it. Has a GM fuel sending unit. I can run a fuel gauge if I want. Probably won't, but I can if I want. So, one more thing to the list. So, stop by Advance. Believe it or not, Advance had the exhaust manifold bolt kit in stock. So, here's all my exhaust manifold bolts. Nice and fresh and new. Already test fitted them to make sure they worked. They do. There's the part number. It was like $10. Dorman. All right, so fuel tank was $89. I paid $20 for these manifolds. That's $109. Felpro part number 72401. You see what this is? Oil pump inlet tube O-ring. After I got that together, I kind of started thinking about it later that night, and I didn't feel real confident in the O-ring that was on the oil pickup tube. So I'm going to change that. This was $5. Like, come on, guys. It's $5. So I don't even care. That's $114 for everything you see here. The bolts were $10. That's $124. These V-bands were $17 a piece. It was $66 after everything for 4 of them. These are getting sent back, or I may use them, I may not. These are only $27. So I'm not going to count that because I may not use them. I believe that's all the parts I have for now. I don't think I bought anything else, but this is enough to get me going. I'm going to stop by the metal supply tomorrow and get the metal that I need to work on cutting the trunk out so I can make a mount for my fuel cell. I'm going to drop it down as low as I can, and keeping in mind where my fuel pumps will be sitting on the frame rail so they're good and out of the way. And maybe that'll save us some weight, right? Hopefully. So anyway, now I think I'm going to get the motor flipped back around, pull the pan off, put the better gasket on, put the pan back on. There's no sealing on it. I just kind of snug the bolts up so it won't fall. After that, I think we can drag that transmission out. I want to look in my bolt box and see if I have some bolts that'll match up from the thread pitch that goes in the back of the block right there. I could use those bolts, but they're too long. I think I might have some shorter ones somewhere. Mount that transmission on the back of that motor. I want to drop all that in the car. And put the jack under it, level it out, and then do some measurements. I got my tape measure sitting right there. I got some pen and paper. Let's have at it, y'all. All right, y'all, I got the oil pan pulled off. It's just 10mm bolts. Nothing to it, y'all. All right, I'm gonna pull this oil pickup tube out so you can kind of see what I'm talking about as far as this O-ring goes. There's 2 13mm and 1 10mm holding the oil pickup tube on. That came off super easy. I didn't like that. There's the old O-ring. I've got some motor oil on all over everything. Like, I don't think that's awful, but I don't think it's great either. So I'll pull this off real quick. Came off super easy. Grab this other one real quick. Let's see how it feels in comparison. A little side by side. What do you say? All right, so I can tell you now this one is super squishy. This one not so much. Thickness, not a big difference, but it is more plump, if that makes sense. As far as round wise, diameter, more plump. So good. I feel good about that. Oh yeah, went on there a lot better. You can physically see the difference in the width of that O-ring. All right, put it back in here. Oh yeah. I got a shoe down in there now. You can feel it go down in there. Very good. 2 13mm. About that tight. About that tight. One 10mm bolt holds on the pickup tube. Two ugga-duggas, and that's that. Drop this oil pan back on just for the heck of it. Custom painted oil pan, by the way. It's like expensive looking now. Still junk. Don't get it twisted. By the way, I'm pretty sure these are the exact same bolts as the exhaust manifold bolts. Don't quote me on that. They just feel the same. Might be a different pitch and whatnot. Probably are. That's how tight you do it. Not really, y'all. Don't do them that tight. This is just me making sure it don't fall off and I don't lose the bolts. I really need a swivel for that one. One more here. It's the same way that one was when I pulled it off and put it on. Those threads are really tight over there. That one bolt. Done. Nothing to it, right, y'all? It's a cakewalk. So, on to the next thing. All right, y'all. One other thing I haven't done is I haven't mounted my flywheel to the engine yet. So I want to go over something with y'all. This is a stock 6.0 flywheel, the stock 6.0 flywheel bolts. All right, so to mount this to a Turbo 400, you have to have this particular flex plate to go on this flange that goes on the back of the crank, which spaces it out correctly to bolt up to that torque converter. I found this out through going on LS1 Tech and reading a bunch about it, but apparently there's some spacing issues if you don't use the right one. And this is supposed to work. So we're going to find out here in a couple minutes. I'm going to get this put up. I got some blue Loctite for the flywheel bolts. Flex plate bolts. I'll get the engine stand out here, pick this thing up, get it off the stand, and get this good old flex plate torqued down. I gotta look up the torque specs for it real quick. After that, I'm gonna drag that 400 out. We'll mount the 400 to the LS, and we'll roll this whole big bitch over here and drop her in, and see how things look for the first time, and see how it looks with all the weight on the suspension, and see if it moves a good bit or what we got. I haven't adjusted the suspension at all as far as where I think it'll sit. I just had it set. So anyway, back to work. All right, flex plate is on. Found the torque specs online. I think all LSs are the same. It's all 74 foot-pounds. You need to go slowly though, because this plate kind of flexes as it's going on there. Take your time, do it right. It's pretty simple. There's actually a couple bolt holes here. If they're threaded, you can put a bolt in here and run these down at the same time, and it'll slowly push it on there just the right way. But if you take your time, you can do it right. So I'm going to drag that 400 out and bring it over here. I'm probably going to take the torque converter out so it's a little easier to carry. I found a couple bolts that'll bolt the bell housing on for the time being. And we'll go from there. After I get it over here, we'll pick it up, get it dropped in the car. All right, y'all, got a couple bolts in the 400 here. One there, one on the other side. As you see, none of the other bolt holes line up. Off, off, off. So, not the end of the world. I kind of knew this was going to happen. When you have this BOP trans, you see the one bolt I have in up here where I have my ropes attached to pick it all up with. That would be your third bolt to put it all together with. Well, Pontiac made that with the dip in it right there. So guess what? I don't have that bolt. No worries, because I was already going to buy the adapter plate. That way I could bolt all the bolts up. I'll just buy the adapter plate whenever I buy the transmission kit and the transmission parts to rebuild it and make it strong. Not that worried about it right now, guys. So anyway, I've got it all put together. I'm going to pick it up here, and we'll try to get it dropped in the car by 10:30. Because I want to watch basketball. I'm out here early for a change. So I got all this weekend to crack on this thing. And I will crack on it then. So anyway, into the car we go. It's going to take a minute because I want to do it with some finesse, see if I can do it, see how it works. Oh, shoot, so check it out. My Harbor Freight engine hoist is not liking this shit, y'all. But it's up there. So I'm going to work it on in here now. Drop it down in there, drop these metal mount bolts on, and slide the jack under here. Jack my transmission up, get it nice and level, and we can take some measurements, y'all. All right, y'all. You know those moments when everything just comes together for a second and you get that really good, yeah feeling. You get a little motivated and shit. That just happened. This is the first time that the motor and transmission have sat in there on their own weight, all bolted in. Now, the transmission is not bolted in. I've got a jack stand under there holding it up. So it's kind of in position. I cut out the tunnel some so that I could see what was going on in there. Not a big deal to me. I can patch it back pretty easy. Okay, a couple problems I've run into. So I've got the motor set so far back with these mounts and this K-member that the transmission is hitting the tunnel. Now I can either cut the tunnel out, which I'm thinking I might do, and just make a new one because it'd be easier. Or I could flip these mounts in the other direction. As you see, they're offset. Now if I rotate them one time, I'm going to gain like 1.5 inches of mount differential there. And it'll move it forward 1.5 inches. If I move it forward 1.5 inches, I'm losing real estate up here. I want to keep as much real estate here as I can. I'll have my radiator here, which sits down on this cross member. As you see, it's kind of offset a little, about that much. And I don't want to lose too much room. I need the room to make these turns with the intercooler pipes, with the hot side pipes, with my crank pulley. I need all that room I can get. So I'm thinking it's going to be best for me to cut the tunnel and make room for the transmission. It'll make it easier to get the transmission in and out also, so I can get the bolts a little easier. What else? I don't know. I'm just really happy right now. Oh, yeah. Look at this suspension now. That I got the motor and transmission in there. Oh, it's tucking the tires. Tucking the tires. Those are what size tires? 50s. Yeah, man. Really excited about that. That's all the way as far down as it'll go, and I have hardly any suspension travel. So I'm thinking at the track, this is probably the best way to set it up so that I can get the max load on the car to go back on the back wheels. So when I hit the gas and accelerate, this front end is going to come up. When that happens, the whole car is going to tilt back like that. When it does, it's going to load up those back wheels that have absolutely no weight on them at all. Right now, it's got a pretty serious rake going on. There's no shocks on it yet, and there's hardly any weight in the back. You know, we've got fuel cell, battery, a couple seats, somewhat of a cage, the back seat to go in, and the people sitting in the car to help load it up a little bit so that it doesn't sag so bad. Have such a big rake. And I've noticed how low the oil pan is to the ground. It's pretty damn low. Let's see if I can get a shot of it in here. There you go. Eyeball close, that's about 3 inches. Pan to ground clearance, that's slammed all the way down. Strange coilovers. Thinking that's a little bit much, so probably going to raise it up some, probably 1.5 inches or so in the front here. Getting 4.5 inches of clearance in the front. I've had Hondas that were lower than that, and I drove them around every day. I don't know. Guess it'll have to do. I'm not going to whine about it. It should be enough. I still have some camber issues. I'll have to work that out. Having it slam like this, I can finally see the weight load on the wheels. And you can't see the camber. But it's cambered out some. So I got to figure out the camber adjustment. I thought I had it all the way out here. But I guess there's some more adjustment I can make. We'll work on that later. Whatever. Not the end of the world. Plus it's slammed all the way, and I believe if I raise it up some, it's going to positive the camber some. I'm just really excited right now. This is super happy. You hit these moments where you lull through everything and you don't see any progress happening and you want to come out here and do nothing. And I'm seeing progress, and it makes me happy. So I'm probably going to stop here for tonight. I might mount these manifolds up real quick. Then I'll go in and watch some basketball. I'm getting tired. It's getting late. I missed my 10:30 goal. It's almost 12 now, so let's put these manifolds on. All right, one manifold in, not tightened down hardcore, just 2 bolts holding it on. All right, so I don't mind this placement at all. It's going to work out just fine, I think. I'm going to probably cut it back here. And I think we'll probably try to get this as parallel this way as we can, forward facing. I want that one to be parallel as possible. I don't really know about the angle. We'll work on the angle, but I got to go down with it for sure. I'll probably go down to the level of the cross member down here. We'll probably go level with that, go across. That'll give us a good room to turn up and hit our mount where our turbo is going to go over there. You see that's really close to whatever this bracket thing is. I'm cutting that out anyway. No sweat. It'll all be gone, so we won't have to worry about it. And it's going to be right in the way. As you see, it's a knuckle buster. On this side, it's dead smack in the way. Like dead smack in the way. Manifold won't even go down. Got a bolt on it in the back right there so it doesn't fall, but it's hung up on this thing. So, not the end of the world, but it's all good. We'll work on it tomorrow some more. It's late. I haven't stayed out here late in a while, so I'm dragging a little. So, whatever, man. work on this tomorrow. We'll cut that off. We'll cut this bracket off. We'll grind it smooth so we don't bust our knuckles anymore. We'll work on cutting our manifolds, mount our 2 V-bands, and then we'll work on lining it up how we want to come around and come up into our turbo. I don't have that tubing yet. It's on back order. I can't make it get here any faster, so whatever. I do need to get a flex connector to go right here. You don't have to have a flex connector. Obviously, this is solid mounted. You can't see the motor mounts now, but it's solid mounted, I promise. You don't have to have flex connector, but I'd rather anything not crack. You take a risk on things cracking when it's solid mounted. That's all. So anyway, I think that's going to be it for tonight, y'all. Tired, boss. Look at it back there. Yeah. That is awesome. Look at that thing. Yeah. I'm super tickled right now. So anyway, we'll be back tomorrow, y'all. And through the magic of the internet, it's the next day. Just some different clothes, that's all. All right, so I debated after last night and today whether I should move this engine forward. Should I just do it and move it and get it over with? It would give me more room on the firewall side to work on whatever is back there. But I mean, there's pretty decent room there now, right? It's like, I mean, there's some room, right? Feels like it should fit in there better than it does. I mean, I just feel like that's the case. So I think I'm going to leave it where it's at. I think if I need to cut anything else out, I'm going to come in here and cut this tunnel out that you can't see because it's dark in here. But yeah, I think that's the best course of action. I could put more metal on there and make it better. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I've just made a decision. So I will leave the mounts where they're at and work from there. All right, now what I'm going to do is pull this manifold back off. There's only one bolt holding it on. And I'm going to get the Sawzall and cut off this smog pump holder. And I'm going to cut off that thing, which I don't know what it is. And I'm going to cut this thing off. And whatever else I can think of might get cut off too. Haven't made up my mind yet. I almost have made a decision on cutting this off and doing something else on that bar there. Maybe a piece of tubing or something. I think it'd just be really easy if I took that out, put a tube in, like 1 5/8" tube, run across it, put a couple tabs on there for my radiator, and I can make it removable and get this engine and transmission out a whole lot easier. But I don't know. And maybe I could just maybe I might just cut it in 2 different places here, take it off, and then put it back on with, make a metal bracket with some bolts on each side so it just bolts back together. I haven't made my mind up yet. That's whatever. I could do that later. Anyway, manifold's off. I break out the Sawzall and cut some stuff. I'm also going to cut all this out pretty soon. That's where the turbo's going. I kind of like the idea of putting the turbo in here and flattening this frame rail off with some flat stock. Trimming this edge off here, making it all nice and flat, and flush the turbo in back there and save some room in here. Kind of like a hidden turbo almost. Maybe. I don't know. I'm playing with ideas. It's all going to get cut out regardless. So let's get to work. Alright, so brackets cut off. Hit it with a grinder a little bit just to knock off any tight, sharp edges. One little piece of metal hanging in there. There we go. That way nothing can cut me. I went ahead and cut that one off too. It's just kind of a preliminary thing. I just wanted them out of the way so I can mock up this manifold. I'm also going to work on this here soon, cutting this out. I was just sitting thinking about it. I'm going to take a Sharpie and kind of mark out my lines where I want to cut it. I want to work on the manifolds and stuff first though, so we'll get this manifold bolted back on and we'll get some lines drawn on where about we want to cut everything and get a little bit of a setup going. So back in a minute. So I might have went ahead and did a thing. I got the manifold bolted with 3 bolts. It sits fine. I'm probably going to cut it off. I'm going to guess, but hang on a second. There we go. I got a little light. So I'm probably going to cut it off back about here because it looks like it's about 2.5 inches back here. So Cut it here, lop this off, put my V-band here on the bottom. I'm not exactly sure the angle I want to go with, but I think I'm going to try to make it as parallel down as I can so I can make this loop. It's going to come down and loop under and come up over here. Now I'm going to have the turbo sitting here. I'm going to flush mount this. I'm going to cut this off and box this in a little bit, flatten it off, and the T6 flange will have 2 bolts here, and the flange will hang out this way. So imagine the turbo sitting there. It's got 2 outlets off of it, one for the left, one for the right. Both of them are roughly 2.5 inches after you kind of square them off a little. Take this side down, over, and in. And I'll bring the inside one close to the frame rail, down, over, angle it up, and in. I'll probably put a flex connector right here, just a little small flex connector. And that should be it for the hot side. I don't think it needs to be overly complicated. Wastegate is the only thing I'm thinking about that's going to be a little bit of an issue. I'm not sure where I'm going to put that. If I put the turbo over there, you want the wastegate to kind of be in flow of both sides of your engine. So you want it to be also close to the turbo because that's where your most pressure for the exhaust is coming into the turbo at. That's where you're making the most pressure. That's where you want it to relieve the most pressure to get a good accurate reading and to prevent boost creep. Boost creep happens when you don't adequately dump out enough exhaust and the boost goes up over where you have it, where you want it, where you have it set at. So we don't want that. We want to do better than that. And I think the best course of action is to get it as close as I can to the turbo. So, you know, I'm not sure yet. I'm just not sure yet how I want to do that. So we'll figure something out. Maybe I end up doing dual wastegates, which would just cost more. I don't want to spend that extra money. So if I have to, I will. I really don't want to. Dual wastegates would work though. I could just do a wastegate on each exhaust pipe if it came in. You know, turbo sits roughly right here. I could just do a gate here and a gate here and face them both down and let them fire off. One thing I also noticed when I cut all this crap out, the struts are rubbing the tire. So I've got to figure out how my hub is sitting against the strut. I need to loosen that, pull the hubs out, and try to straighten it the best I can. I didn't do all that stuff super tight yet. It's kind of mock-up stage because I wanted to get it sitting on there and see how it looked. I believe that's where my camber issues are coming from also. So one of them other things, I'm not sure how this other side looks because I haven't bothered looking, but let's stick our camera in there and have a gander. Hold on. Also hitting. See that? Something we got to fix. So, one of them extra things, man, you learn as you go along. Whatever, we'll figure it out. So, I'm pretty happy with the way the manifold looks. I'm pretty happy with this massive fucking hole. We'll do another massive hole over here. We're going to have lots of stuff in this engine bay. And we'll need as much room as we can get. So, I'll probably stop for the night. I know I wasn't out here very long, but I did a lot of shit yesterday, and I kind of got frustrated when the manifold and shit was in the way. No need to get frustrated. I got plenty of time. We also have the fuel cell to put in over there. Plenty of work, right? So I'm also waiting on my V-bands that still didn't come today. I still only have one. So what's the point digging into this? Can't do them both. I also need to cut that bracket off. Didn't do that one yet. Just did this side. Anyway, we'll probably wrap it up here, and I'm probably going to throw this video online tonight. All right, y'all. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. I learned a little something. Stuff's pretty simple, y'all. Just cut it out with a cutoff wheel. You see I use my Harbor Freight angle grinder. And you can't see my Harbor Freight Sawzall. Oh, there it is. Over there on the floor. Harbor Freight, right? I think that Sawzall was focus camera. Yeah. And Sawzall was like $12. So, all right. Till you next time, guys. We'll get this loaded up. If everybody enjoyed, If you would, like, comment, subscribe, and share. I enjoy everybody's comments. I appreciate it. The viewership has gone up according to my analytics. A lot of people are watching. Wish you guys would subscribe and hit your notifications so you can actually see and follow along when the videos come in. You don't have to. No rules. So anyway, appreciate it, guys. Till next time, peace.